Hello, folks.
Hi there.
It's another episode of Würfel episode 4.
Huzzah.
Yeah, it's a little bit late today, but it's still today, which is something. At least
That's true.
At least that.
At least it's not next week.
Yeah. It would be possible next week, sadly, because I'm away. So, but we're here, and I think for maybe some folks, it's even better to have it later, because for you it was like very early in the morning.
Well, I mean, I get up early most days anyway, so it wasn't a huge deal. But
and I don't think anybody's watching us live anyway. They're
I am
watching it after, I think, yeah. which is also nice. I don't care when you watch it. It's just cool that you watch it. Thank you for everybody who watches our podcast, vidcast. It's more of a podcast, but just,
I don't know. I'm too old to know the difference.
Yeah, I think like when I listen to quite a few podcasts, and that's totally fine. There are interesting, themes and, let's say, reviews, but sometimes I do miss pictures. With some games where it's still, the components are beautiful. I'm like, okay, but I don't really know if they are. Now I have to go somewhere and look at BGG, if it's beautiful or not. It's so much. It's easier to engage with the podcast because you just turn it on, you do your stuff. You don't have to watch anything. Well, what I usually do, I listen to podcasts while I do something else. But with the video, at least here, we still have a kind of a podcast format, but we can show you pictures right away, which is cool. And you always see our names on the screen. You'll never forget our names. I think what we have to do for
change
whatever
our names.
Change swap our names. Just like any random episode, just swap our names and see if people will.
Well, now you've tipped people off. You're going to have to edit this out.
No, because it's live. We don't edit.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. I could show my nipples, and there'd be nothing you could do about it.
I could delete the whole video. We could start
that's
over.
True.
Another 2 hours.
Wonderful.
But doing it live. If we go with that theme, doing it live, it's cool because it's our genuine. Sorry, not genius. It might be genius, but it's genuine reaction to our picks. We don't know each other picks and things, so we kind of I like the more natural approach to that. So reviews, I do edit it, but this one, I just like to do it live and talk and
live and raw.
I said rival law. No, let's not rival law. Let's live and raw.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, without further ado, let's just start with the first topic, which is recent plays. And Kyle, why don't you start by telling me about the amazing game?
All right. Oh, it has to be amazing. Okay. Now, the game I'm going to... So every year, or every so often, a game comes along that just captivates me. This one I think I heard about first from you, but as soon as I heard about it from you, I got really excited about it. And when it came out, I bought it and I played this thing, the solo version, for about essentially since we last had our talk, because I just played it again and again and again. The game is Imperium, and there's the two versions, Classics and Legends, but they are just basically they're the same game entirely. Yeah. They're 100% the same. In fact, they only have one rule book that applies to both games. So, and you can mix them however you like. So whichever one you picked is fine. But this is a strange deck building game. It's probably the best way to talk about it. What you want to do is like a deck building game, you're going to be drawing your cards, and eventually you'll get new ones, and they'll be added to your deck. But the way that you do that is a little bit different. And there are each of the different factions. I think there are 16 of them. Each of them is slightly different in how it does things and what it can do, what it scores points for, etc. But one way, you can just sort of buy cards and add them to your deck. But another thing you can do is when you go through your deck, there's a sort of a sub deck that has special cards that you'll eventually take out. And so by having a more streamlined deck, you're going to go and get into those better cards a little bit faster. But maybe that's not what you want to do, and some of those cards aren't great. And so there's different cadences that will happen. You can also cull your deck by putting out these land cards, and usually when you place one, you can tuck another card under it, and it just kind of sits out there and doesn't do anything. And so then it's out of your deck. There's some cards you can only play in the first half of the game, some you can only play in the second, and so by using features like that, you can kind of get the garbage out and get to the good stuff faster. The component quality is just okay. The cards are fine, but they have these weird little fiddly chips that you have to keep using to keep track of your actions. And those are not all that great, and the resource tokens are just kind of okay. But the cards, the artwork is good, the card quality is fine, and the gameplay is just so interesting. It is a hard one to pick up from the rule book. I was like, I have no idea really what I'm doing as I played through it the first time. Solo is fantastic. There's a sort of a separate flow chart for each of the decks that you could be playing against, and it's very easy. It's sort of, you flip the card and you look at where its symbol is on the chart, and that shows what action it does. But it gives you a nice sort of feel of what that faction is going to be doing. And it also, kind of manipulates and messes with stuff so that you have some sort of an opponent to beat. So that was, I really didn't have any complaints about that. Played it with some friends as well. I really like this game. It was a major hit for me. I was not aware of it going into the year, but now that I'm aware, I'm really enjoying it. And I'd love to see even more, even though, 16 different decks is quite a lot and probably plenty for most people.
Yeah. I told you about this game because every Osprey games released for me is news. Because, I do love quite a few of their games. I've played quite a few. And each time they come up with something, it's different. It's different from everything else on the market, but it's still familiar. It's still, it feels like a classic, kind of a, they've done Last Expedition, which is, it's totally, standard mechanisms, but it's great. It's cool. I love it. They've done the Aliens in the outer space, Escape from the Aliens, this kind of a notebook thing where you write down where you're going and, deduction and things. This is different and so on. So they started with like reprinting and doing some more like weird games like The King is Dead. Or was it the... They came out with a new reprint of the game, which is called King is Dead. Yeah, second edition. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I do know that game. Yes.
And people love it. I don't know. It's like it's their older game, one of the first games. And this one feels like, and every other game is like a little bit different, a little weird. Like the cryptid as well, the deduction one. This one feels like it goes into that. David Turczi, by the way, who did this? David Turczi and Nico.
Someone else.
Or Nigel. Nigel.
Yes,
Buckle,
Nigel.
Yeah,
I remember that.
David Turczi and Mihail's artwork. And every other game is weird, but David Turczi can go extremely weird and extremely difficult with different approaches, mechanics, mechanisms. All those gears that are turning. This one feels like that. I don't have it yet, and I will have it in the future, of course. I want both versions. I don't care. I will just buy it anyway because I do trust Osprey games a lot. I mean, like I can see that the game is good. As you said, it's probably very hard to learn. I'm a little bit afraid of that because my play group they have difficult times with more involved games with lots of. I'm fine, but they are not as experienced with like years of reading rule books and things. So it's hard to teach them, even if I do a good teach. It's still a bit too much. And this one says, I don't know how many people have voted on that. Okay, people vote that it's a medium heavy.
Yeah,
Few.
I think that's right. It's got some terms, some sort of keywords you've got to learn. And I think it's definitely one to learn with a smaller group rather than trying to play it with four. I think, start with a two-player version. And then once everybody has a sense of how the game works, maybe try to do a bigger group, because there is a lot of learning that has to go in just sort of to figure out how all of the different things work. And also, there's a list at the end of the rule book that says, these factions, gives them a 1 to 5 star rating based on how difficult they are. Don't start with the 5-star ones because they're really kind of weird and off the wall. I mean, sometimes you see that and it's like, who cares? In this one, you probably wouldn't want to start with one of the ones that has a whole different set of rules.
Yeah, but overall, it was my top one most anticipated game, as we did the 2021
Was it?
Games
Okay.
list. I think it was, yeah. It should have
Okay.
been, because I'm just extremely excited about every Osprey Games release. And yeah, that you just solidify my ambitions, or let's say my predictions toward the game, towards how much I will like it.
I mean, I don't know, right? You and I like very different things sometimes, but I found this to be fantastic.
I think I will like it, but I think I will be frustrated the first time I play it. Because of lots of...
Probably the first couple of times. Anyway, there you go. That's my recent play.
All right. So my recent play is also a heavier game that I got quite cheap. As it was a sale on a French website, Philibert, where I order most of the games, and they usually have like cool sales of French versions of games, like their own like countries published games. I mean, like not the like international games, but rules are in French. So, but you can always find some deals there where they have a language independent game. So I don't care. I'll just print out the rules, and I can have this game for a half price. And this was the case. I got it for like 36 euros, which is extremely small value for such a cool game, which is Crystal Palace. And yeah, so I got Crystal Palace, and I finally played it as well. It's not so easy to learn the game. I mean, this game is logical. This game, the iconography, I do really like the iconography. It explains itself. I just do like all of that. Oh, somebody has some upgraded dice or something like that. Where's the usual picture? Okay, still upgraded dice, but that's a cool idea to have upgraded dice. Anyway, in this version they're not translucent; they're just wooden dice. But already this game, it's straight up Euro game. You have to manage different resources, have to manage your workforce, which is basically your dice. It's a dice placement game, and this is for me a Grand Austria Hotel done right. This is my Grand Austria Hotel, because I didn't like that game, because I didn't like how everybody is, it's a heavier game, but everybody's rolling dice, and whatever comes up, that's what you can use, and it's common. In this game, have you played this one?
No, I got this one, and it came out right before some kind of trip I went on, and it kind of went onto the pile. So I've not actually. I started going through the rules, but never got it. Never ended up getting it out.
Yeah. So, but in this game, you use dice as your kind of workers, and different spots on the boards where you can grab extra stuff, like build up your engine, different like bonus tiles that you put on, and some of them are instant income thing. Some of them are working every income turn separately. You can grab inventions and great people, whatever they are, like, and sometimes they correlate with each other, so you can score more points. Basically, what you want to do, you have to grab those cards, score them by giving up some resources, and eventually they can either just give you some instant bonuses, or give you some special abilities and stuff, so which is cool. And you use your dice in a way that at the beginning of each round, it decides what dice values you're going to use. You don't roll them, you decide yourself. But where's the catch? The greater value of a dice you choose, you have 4 dice, the more money you have to pay. You have to pay for your dice. So if I choose pips like 6, 4, 4, and 4, I have to pay 18 money, 1/8, and that's a lot, So sometimes I will choose lower values because I just don't have enough money, or I don't want to lose that much money. You have to pay for a few things, and it's a little bit economy going on there as well. And you don't want to get loans, because if you get loans, you get some money. But the thing is, even if you pay off the loan and you pay it with the same, you get a loan when you cannot, you have to lose money, and you cannot. You get the loan, you get $10, and at the end of the game, you can pay it off with $10, but it doesn't go off. I mean, instead of like 8 to 10 points that you lose from a loan, you will still lose 5. So you pay for the loan in order to decrease its kind of a minus points value and negative points value. And that makes you kind of a not want to take any loans. Some games are, for example, Homesteaders, etc. Like, if you know that you will build up your engine, you can take loans as much as you want, because you will pay them off and you'll be fine. In this one, you have to be really precise about them. And on the other hand, you want to build yourself up, because like this is your own board has some. Every board has a little bit different, like countries and different bonus points that you can get from completing some objectives, and everybody has different ones. And you have this kind of a central thing going on there, where these are like empty spots, which will give you -2 points at the end of the game if you will not cover them. So you have to grab those bonus tiles, and loans and money, you can cover it with the spots with these as well, like in the Odin game and the Patchwork and etc.
A Feast for Odin?
Feast for Odin and Patchwork, etc., where like every time you don't cover something, you get minus points, at the end of the game. So that's how this one. I don't think, is it prototype? It's a prototype. Okay, where's the real one?
That looks like the real one. The real one isn't all that gorgeous.
It's not gorgeous, but I like the pictures. Okay, you can see here, and yeah, it's basically 8 different boards, and each board corresponds to some of the actions, bonus tiles, these things where you can get extra points of money, then those inventions. The thing is that why you need the money as well. You want to grab a lot of specialists to give you special abilities, but you have to pay them salaries as well, which I also like. It's like everything has a risk. At some point, I was like, I really want to grab a character, but I don't have money to pay them. And you have different years as well as you go through. Each round is like a almost different year. Like there's the autumn and spring of 1849, and then you have another 2 rounds of 1850, and then 1851. And within each of these years, there are different, like some of the cards become more valuable and some of the cards become less valuable. So some of the cards you want to score earlier in the game, some of them you want to score later in the game, and you try to keep them for yourself or grab them in the advance. And there's also another track where if you move on the track, some of the characters have salaries lower if you are lower in the track, and some of the characters become cheaper if you're later in the track. There's like different things that as you can see, every gear correlates with another gear, like, or let's say not gears, but everything is kind of a mixed up together. So you have to do this in order to have this one cheaper, in order to do this one. I like it because it reminds me a little bit of Scythe, where if you upgrade something, you can make the other thing cheaper because of that. So you get like a kind of a double benefit. And here you feel like that as well. So overall, I did really enjoy the game. It's a very clever puzzle. it's a heavy game, but heavy in a sense of the first time you play it, you have no idea what to do. You have no idea how to go with this, what strategy to choose. So it's strategically advanced game, where should I keep the money? Should I lose the money? How can I get extra money? Is loans bad? It is, and etc. What cards to get? What is more valuable? What is less valuable? You never know that. What dice to choose? So that's that. But rules-wise, it's not complicated. Once you start playing, every iconography is great. Few maybe character cards you have to look at them, but you will remember them eventually. Mostly, you look at the iconography oh, I know what it means. I don't have to look it up. I liked it. I liked it quite a bit.
Good. Well, I'll be excited to hear about how you like Arkwright next.
We'll see about that. Yeah, definitely. Maybe we'll play this one with you, and I'll play Imperium, and with you, and you.
Yeah, this is one. Like I said, I have it. It just has kind of fallen to the middle of that dreaded middle of the list, where there's a bunch of things above it. But I do like most Capstone Games productions, and so.
It's a Capstone. Okay, I have.
Well, at least in the U.S., it's part of the Capstones. They have a couple of different lines, and they all kind of are those heavier type games that I usually really like. So at some point, I'll get to it.
No, as you can see, it really looks colorful once you have it on the table.
Okay.
So it's not as ugly. But anyway, yeah, check it out.
All right.
Definitely. I recommend it to very much. It should be your game. Yeah. All right. We get to the next topic, which is Cult of the Old. We'll talk about the games that are at least 5 years old. Each time I forget if we put that.
It's at least 5 years old, although, I often pick an older one.
Yeah, at least 5 years, yeah. Okay, so what's your pick?
Okay, well, we are in Spiel des Jahres season, and so I chose an older winner of the award that kind of looks good, but some people don't really like. The game is Niagara. Now, I won't say I don't enjoy the game. I find it to be quite an interesting. It's visually very striking when it's set up.
How it's spelled? Wait,
I think there's an A you're not thinking of in there. I think it's Niagara.
Niagara. Okay, one A was missing.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I got it.
Yeah, there's a hidden A in there. There you go. And so what you have in this game is you sort of turn the box over and there's this river. And on the river are these plastic discs, and those are the spaces that you're moving. And you've got these ore tiles that you're going to use, and you can only use them. You have to use them all and then gather them all back up again. And you're trying to get down to these spots so that you can harvest gems and then move the gems back up the river to get them home. That's sort of the concept. And then at various points, the river is going to move. You'll put discs in this. You'll push them in, and they'll kind of slide on down, and they will move you down the river. It's a fairly simple concept. The game is not particularly strategically heavy, but I have enjoyed it. I remember there was a group back 10 years ago that we really liked this game, and we played it a lot. I don't know how well it has aged. I have not played it for a number of years, but it's certainly an interesting one, and it's visually very striking.
Yeah. I think I've seen this one. It looks cool, but I'm not sure about.
Well, I mean, I don't know that it's run out and buy material, but it's one to think about trying. So now it looks like, there you go. You're supposed to put that river on top of the box so that the the canoes will fall off the edge of the board when they get pushed. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Anyway. That's an older game. It's definitely old enough to fit these criteria.
Yeah. And I didn't want to cheat or anything like that. And going with...
when you start a sentence with that,
Yeah, no, the game is at least 5 years old. The game is 6 years old now. But I just played a new version of that recently, and it's 95% the same game, or like it's basically the same game. But I'm talking about Steampunk Rally here, and there's the Steampunk
Oh,
Rally
okay.
Fusion.
Mhm.
Oh, they had a reprint of
Yeah.
that game as well. But I played Fusion. That's why it came up to my mind because I played Fusion recently. Oh, just the Fusion dice and few traps on the board, extra stuff, nothing else. Everything else, like
Yeah.
even the promos
Same.
they had on Kickstarter were like the same thing. And Steampunk Rally is it's a drafting engine building race game. And in this one, you are building your own like a contraption, as you can see here, of cards, and you're using the dice. I don't know if is the translucent dice come with the deluxe version or like Kickstarter version, or is it?
I think.
This one has
Well, I, I,
solid
th- I
dice.
think those are what the dice look like in mine. I have the version that came. I mean, I got rid of my old one and kept the new one that came out of the Kickstarter with all the reprinted stuff, and mixed it together with Fusion. I know that the green dice are translucent. I don't think the others are.
Weird, because I think I have everything translucent. Okay, I don't know.
Well,
Yeah, the Kickstarter version has just these gears or just metal
the
tokens
Metal
and things,
Gears.
but
Mhm.
yeah, whatever. The game is functioning the same. But about this game, so you're building this kind of contraption, which has different spots for dice, and you're basically getting those dice from the cards, from the drafting, and you are putting those dice in those different, I don't know, boxes, and then dividing the value and trying to get more of that action in one turn,
Mhm.
and etc. But overall, the game is about, first of all, the huge part about that is drafting. You're taking cards from different decks because there are like silver components, the copper components, and the golden and boost cards. And you're drafting those cards, and then you decide whether you put it down as a piece of contraption, basically connecting it to your machinery, or you sell it for the resources, and then you can get dice and gears instead. And you use gears to change the pips values, etc., mitigate the dice luck thing. I'm not the biggest fan of drafting. I don't really like drafting games. I've tried and tried, but there are a few exceptions. For example, Blood Rage is one exception where I enjoyed the game quite much, even if there's drafting. This is another one. But what I want to say, it's a great game, and it's a different approach to racing, which I like because I like engine building. But this one, the first time we sat down and played this one with four other players, like there was five of us. I played this game before, quite a few years ago, yes. And I remembered, the flow of the game, etc. But the other four players, because there are rounds and phases which do simultaneously, like you draft and then you build this stuff up, and then you use your dice and things. You all do it at the same time, and I think I made a big mistake playing with four more players. Not because, no, it's not even because there are too many players, because it's fine. The problem is new players, because I have to constantly, answer questions, control and thing. So this game is not very beginner friendly. This game is something you need to learn. It's best maybe to play it with maximum two more folks as a free player game, and then go through it. And then after you kind of played it a bunch of times, you understand how everything works, what are the cards, what are the things, how you do that. It's not extremely intuitive. So
Yeah.
that's where I would not recommend it with too many new players. But you can play it with bigger player count. It's fine because it's simultaneous. But it just,
You could if everybody knew what they were doing.
yeah, that's why a long time ago when I had this game, I sold my copy because I felt like this game is too long. And we always had some new folks, and just I couldn't get it to the table because it was always too long, and it's can be AP prone game. But I got it back because I still had nostalgia for that one. I did really enjoy the game. I just would be cautious with new players. Take
Okay.
it slowly, but not too slow. Steampunk Rally.
All right.
Let's get to another topic, which is funky components.
Okay.
Kyle?
So the one that I'm talking about really fits in with sort of our main topic today, which is a game that looked amazing but was not. And this game has a very funky component. It's a funky component that looks like it belongs on Grandma's wall as a trophy stand. The game is called A Game of Gnomes.
Okay.
And in this component, there's this large ceramic mountain that's used for like 10 seconds in the game and just really holds some mushrooms. And you've got these ceramic gnomes that are moving around and doing actions. The game itself is pretty boring. Don't recommend it really at all. But it was in a huge box and it was expensive. And it came with that huge porcelain mountain. I don't know what it's made of. Porcelain or ceramic or something. It kind of feels a little cheap. And it feels like maybe, the designers just found it at a craft store and decided to paint it and put it in a game. But it definitely is a funky component, and it definitely stands out. And it's definitely the only thing people remember about the game. So there you go.
Yeah, I've seen this one during Essen when they came out with this game, and I'm like, okay, how will you like carry this box back? Because I'm afraid it will break. And but then
mean, it was very well packed in the box, but it's not. It was more of a showpiece than a game. I think a lot more effort went into making the game look large and imposing than went into developing something that's interesting. It's basically a bad version of Elfenland.
I feel like Brothers Lamont who make these games. They have several Fraggle games, yeah. But the Lamont brothers,
that's their names, yes.
Yeah. So every game they make, it's full of this huge toys and things, and it's never about mechanics. I think it's about this kind of a toy value.
Well,
it's weird.
I mean, some of their games work. Sometimes the game is good and is overproduced. But more times than not, it's more show and less substance.
Yeah. All right, my funky component is something very usual. But on the other hand, I feel like they've made it into something more special. And I just like the player screens of Alchemists. It's funky, it's weird, it's different for the sole reason, maybe as you can see here, is that you have this kind of a recessed board where you can put these little tokens in. And recessed boards at that time, like Scythe was one of the first ones made, and then everybody was like, oh, you can make dual layered boards like that, and put the holes in things. Great, everybody does that now. It's very common now. But it's a board with symbology and things, so it's like a reference sheet, a dual layered board where you can put in these buttons and things, and kind of it's done really well where you can see how everything correlates. And then you have the card holder on top of that, where you put that down so you can scan the card. So I've never seen such player screen in any other game. It is different. It's huge. It's a monstrosity for everything, basically. I don't know if they could have had like a cup holder as well attached to it, so you can have a lemonade and scan in your cards. So I feel these player screens need to get some attention. Well, they're thick, and they are thick.
They are. They're nice player screens.
Yeah.
Sure is a game I don't like teaching.
All right, and here we are, finally, at the finish line. And people are probably wondering why this episode is called, or why the topic of the day is Top 10 Board Game Sirens. So we're not going to talk about ambulance and police sirens. Sorry, Kyle. I know it's your theme, but let's not do that.
Okay.
You seem weirded out. Okay. No, sirens as the mythological creatures from is it the Greek mythology? Yes.
Yeah.
And it's about the games that are beautiful outside, but really deadly inside, or stinky, or whatever. So, you shouldn't
They
approach
call
sirens.
to you.
They call to you, and then they eat you alive.
Pretty much.
Same as with the game. And for mine, I want to say few of my games are popular and people like them, but I find them dull. So be warned, it's my opinion. I don't think that these games are good, but if you feel they are good, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And also, beauty is very subjective thing. So
So for me making the list, this is something that happens all the time to me, right? I buy games because they look interesting, because they're beautiful, or because they have sort of some feature that appeals to me, kind of like a game of gnomes, and then they end up being terrible because I, sort of buy first, try later, which may not be the best approach. But it was very easy to make a short list, and then it was difficult to narrow it down.
Yeah, for me as well. First of all, how I made the list. So I think my upper part of my list, my number maybe 3 to 1, are the games that I really wanted to enjoy because I saw a lot of potential, like maybe through the components and the beauty of the game, and I was very disappointed in them. And the ones are on the bottom are less disappointed, but I'm very picky, that. I tend to not avoid games that don't look good. And for me especially, I really do enjoy great art and components. And yeah, it's like with for example, Food Chain Magnet, which looks like a prototype. I will not play this game, but but look, it's a game about restaurants.
That one's not on the list.
Yeah, it's not a beautiful game, but it's a game about restaurants, which I was in that business for a long time. It's about economy and things, and building up. I do like all of that, separate. I do like these mechanics, but I will not touch this game because they didn't bother to make it beautiful. But yeah, sometimes I can get frustrated, and sometimes the game is okay because of how beautiful it is. With some games, like if we take away the component value, let's say of these games, then they are like, oh no, I'll never play it again. But there's some games I don't know why. Because it's just beautiful or a great theme, I'll play them. So there are different values of beauty in board games for me. Anyway.
Well, let's get going.
All right, let's get to number 10.
Okay. So my number 10 is a game that, I don't know that it's beautiful, but everything in it called out to me. Everything in it called out to me. The theme called out to me. The wonderful, gorgeous custom dice called out to me. The large sort of wooden standees called out to me. I knew this game was going to be fantastic. And the box art is the only part that really wasn't all that amazing. But the game is Dysenstein.
What?
Dysenstein.
Okay.
And it is a game of, we've talked about it before. I mean, look, ignore the box artwork, which just looks okay. If you look at the actual game components, they were these really nice, large wooden meeples of monsters. And there were hundreds of custom dice with different sides, nice quality dice. It just looked amazing. And what you would do is you'd roll the dice, and those were the attributes of your monster. And you were trying to buy the dice and customize the monster. The game just looked fantastic. It called to me like nothing else. And it was a total dud. I mean, First of all, you can't read the dice. Even though they're nice looking, it's really difficult to see. And then there was a whole lot of like adding up different values and features and plus 2, minus 2. And the game itself, though, it was like plodding along and then you'd fight with a monster. It was just so unpleasant to play. So this was a total siren for me because it sucked me in. I spent way too much money on it. And after playing it, I could hardly even give this game away.
Yeah, I can see the kind of not the beauty, but the style. It's stylish. I wouldn't say extremely beautiful, but it's. I like the dice. Yeah, I like the huge maples. All right. It's a good start. Probably. I don't know. I haven't played the game, but I do trust you on this one. 6.5. Yeah, not the biggest one. Okay. My number 10 is a game that is loved by people, and it is, in my opinion, it is beautiful, weirdly beautiful, let's say, and that's Dixit. Okay. I've played. I think the box here. I don't know. There's the Dixit Odyssey. I think I played the Dixit Odyssey.
Well, there's 72 versions.
I don't know. Let's put Dixit Odyssey then. I think I played that one. Yeah. This one has a little bit more beautiful art on the box. But as you can see, this is all about those cards, the dreamy cards, and they are weird and cool and nice, and the game is colorful. It is a beautiful game, I would say. And I like big cards with no borders in them. Nice. The game itself, I'm not sure if I played Mysterium before I played Dixit. I might have been. Because I didn't really want to try Dixit. It didn't sound good to me. But there was once a time where like somebody brought Dixit to us, and I'm like, okay, so they brought it, let's play. Whatever. It's such a dull game. There's nothing there. The scoring is just abysmal. One of the worst scoring I've ever seen. It just doesn't matter. And why do you have a scoring? You can just play rounds. You could just, have something different. Like with Red 7, you play it once and then you win that round, you win the game, let's play it again. This one has this weird scoring. I just don't know. For me, it's a dull game, and Mysterium is a hugely more better game than Dixit. But people love it. I don't know. Maybe it's
I love it too.
Maybe it's the same with Monopoly. A huge amount of people love Monopoly. It is. It is like that. People love Uno.
They know of it.
It just they don't know about any other games, most likely. But there's a game for everyone. Dixit is not the one I like.
Okay.
We're starting good. Let's get to number 9.
All right. So my number 9 is a game. Look, the art style is very divisive, but there is some, beauty and power to it. But the component quality was fantastic. Great miniatures, lots of little, very loving components. There were little plastic hands you could hang on trees. The game looked fantastic, and it was a real dud of a game. It just is not fun to play. The game is Hate.
Okay.
It has this dark sort of aesthetic going for it. And, that's, going to be take it or leave it. But, you could see lots of effort went into the artwork. Lots of effort went into the miniatures. Lots of effort went into all of the components. Everything about this, from these plastic huts that you can lift up and see what's underneath. And there's some discovery aspects. There's that hill that you're building and you're trying to get to the top and control the top. Lots of card drafting where you're sort of customizing your characters with transparent sleeves, which has been done in other games, making them better as the time goes on. But it's just no fun. It is it's long and plodding. You really have to play with a large group in order for it to work. It takes up way too much space, and it's just not worth the time and effort that went into making it, learning it, setting it up, and playing it. Another real dud for me, despite how excited I was at how great it looked.
Yeah. Okay. I never played this one, but I don't know. I just
Don't.
sometimes when I
It's expensive.
look with some of these games which have a ton of miniatures and things, I start to get maybe overwhelmed by that, and I don't even know if it's beautiful or not. With games with a lot of miniatures, I don't find them beautiful anymore. I don't know.
Okay.
That's just me.
Well, this one's not worth your time, so don't. In fact, you might say I hate it.
Yes. No. Anyway, my number 9 is a game that I think we both saw in Gen Con. One of the Gen Cons,
Okay.
might be like 2 years ago, probably, or 3 years ago even. And it's a game that we sat down to play because it looked nice. I think we both played it, yeah. Maybe remember, it's called Mesozoic.
Oh,
Mesozoic.
yeah, I remember that one. That was a
It,
dud.
it looked beautiful. Like, we both sat down, like, oh, it looks nice. The cards and everything look. There was like a giant version as well. Look at the box. It's cool. It's colorful. At the cards, they are really cool, nice cards. I like the art here. The
Yeah, it
game
looks nice.
itself, the game itself is like this. What are these kind of games where you have to
It's a sliding puzzle game.
sliding puzzle? Yeah, it's a sliding puzzle game. Which I don't know. This one, like different aspects on the cards, they need all the different objects on the card. They need to be near each other to score, and it's a real time kind of a thing as well going on here. So you have to, slide them. And I don't know. It just felt so dull and boring. There's nothing to do. I mean, like, if I could play the cards down somehow, I have limited choices and I could play cards down. But the sliding puzzle, you play it once, okay, you never want to play it again. But some people might like it.
That is a true statement. I played it once and never wanted to play it again.
Me too. You can see that's our kind of that's the game that we both played at the same time and both fell for that cute beautiness and poor gameplay. Mesozoic, my number 9.
Okay.
Right, it's good. Number 8.
Okay. So this game was a real siren for me. It's even the box looks like it was designed for me. It looks like it was designed to call out to me. It screams nostalgia. It screams glory and fun. It's the pixelated artwork that you sometimes see, but for me, it called back to my childhood, and it really, it was just amazing. The game is Boss Monster.
Okay.
And it has this sort of old Super Nintendo and Nintendo art vibe, depending on which version you're playing, and it just really was speaking out to me. But the game is really just kind of a take that card game. It's very random. It's very sort of play the good card on you, play the bad card on somebody else, and kind of almost like a Munchkin type game. It really has no soul behind it. And it felt like almost a waste of both a theme and a lot of interesting art assets that went into it. So this one was another real miss for me, despite how excited I was at how it looked.
Yeah, this one, I think, the art-wise, it's very subjective because some people hate pixelated art. But I feel, this is very stylish. This was made, if you have played the old Nintendo games, for me as well, I looked at this one, and some people say that, why do you like the art here? It's horrible. It's pixelated. I'm like, no, it's stylish. It's nostalgia, and people love it or hate it. And I tried this game, I think on the app, and I didn't even understand what I was doing. I don't know. I just felt dull for me. But it was the app, so I didn't really.
I don't think that you would have a different experience if you played the tabletop game. I mean, look, so pixelated art. I mean, look, all art styles have their place, and I enjoy it in the right place, and it definitely fits with the theme of this game, right? If it had showed up in some other game, I might not have liked it as much, but this one, it just, even the box. I mean, you look at that box, and it just says, "Hey, this is the video game you wanted to play when you were 6."
Yeah.
So
my number 8 is a game that when I looked at the box and the theme and everything, and it's a card game. It's about dragons. Those dragons on the pictures look beautiful, gorgeous. I really wanted to love this game because of the whole aesthetics of the game. I felt it felt flat. Draco or Draco Magi or Magi. I don't know. Oops, that's the expansion. The expansion looks also cool, but if you look at these dragons, like I'm just gonna show you one card. It's cool. Look at that, beautiful. The whole aesthetics of the card and the different, like it's Ryan Lockhart like art, a little bit of that. Look at this, beautiful. And the game itself is these are different like lands, and you play the dragons into those lands. It's like a battlefield kind of a thing where I don't know the Babel was the game, etc. And there are many of those. Like a dueling game where you have those different lands, and then you put the cards down, then you compare the strength, you attack. You can attack with the dragon breath. Some of them don't have. You have some special abilities. Some are assets. Some are mimicking dragons, etc. The whole concept is great. I don't know. The game itself felt flat. It was a little bit dull for this kind of a style of game, and there are a ton of such games out there. And Babel was cool, and I also like the what's the other one, which was also really beautiful? Strife. If you've never heard about that one,
no.
Cool cards.
Okay.
And this one, just look at that. It's so colorful, so beautiful, dueling game. But it's just
Okay.
not enough. All right, let's get to number 7. Oops. Oh, here. All right.
Right. My number 7 is a game that everything about it sounded interesting. The artwork looks nice. I know lots of people really love this artist's work. I'm just okay with it. But it looked nice watercolory look to it. It was different characters with different special abilities, different win conditions. The game is Alexandria. It was about a fire in the library, and one person's trying to save all the books, and you're trying to save different kinds, and one person's trying to burn it all down. And it really looked like a great game. It had nice looking components. It had nice artwork. It had a nice theme. Everything about it was good, except the gameplay. It was
it's Vincent Dutray, yeah.
The artist, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the game itself is just no fun. It was very random. It was very it felt very unbalanced. I played it a few times here to try and see it. Okay, the standees weren't all that great, but but just the game itself was a total dud each and every time I took it out. It was no fun at all. It just was I really did not like this game, which was really sad because of how exciting it looked and how it made me really want to like it.
Yeah, I saw this one during my Essen trip, and it's from Ludi Creations. The problem I have with Ludi Creations, it was the same as with NSCAN games. Every of their games feels like it's a good looking game, nice production, but a little bit raw, a little bit unbaked, or it's not. It should have another developer look or something like that. And this one felt like that. So I skipped the demo of that. I could have it, and I didn't ask for a review copy, and I I don't know. I just skipped this game, and then I saw
Yeah.
the reviews of this game and realized, okay, that's a good choice. I haven't played this one, but I feel like I didn't miss a great game here. No,
You did not.
it's, as you can see, the rating here is also really bad. And Ludi Creations, they're constantly bringing out. I think not all, but they're constantly bringing out this underbaked games that just need another one.
This one did
Okay.
feel underdeveloped.
And then we held hands, and the Pocket Imperium, and maybe even Crisis wasn't. It sounded great, but wasn't. Okay, anyway.
Okay.
And we go to my number 7. My number 7 is another game we played together during the Dice Tower cruise.
Okay.
It seems like a common theme that you are responsible of my suffering through.
I didn't make
games.
you play that Dino game.
Yeah, but I think you made me like you. We were looking at the demo, not the demo copies, but at the library, and you're like, I can teach you that game. It can be fun, and it's called Age of Dirt. Remember?
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah, that one almost made it to my list. That was a total dud.
It's a Clemens Franz art, and I was okay. I was like, I didn't know it's Clemens Franz, but I don't usually like Clemens Franz art. But this one looked cool. It looked different, colorful. Just kind of the whole concept of kind of a cartoony art. It's different from his usual art. And I was like, okay, let's try it out. And then we put the meeples in those huts, and then we put them into the tower. And there's the cube tower kind of a thing, and they fall off, and it's random and dull, and the objectives, it's unbalanced. It's just okay. We had fun the first few rounds where we just, oh, the meeples fall off, and then none of my meeples fell off. I'm like, okay, so what do I do? Nothing. Okay. And this meeple is now eaten by a bear. Why? What? Okay. It's not a fair game.
Well, it's a 10-round game, or sorry, it's a 2-round game stretched over 10 rounds is the problem. It just was way too long, and it really was no fun. I agree.
And I feel it was too Euro-y. It should have been kind of a party game. A light party game where you can all laugh off. You can do this cube tower, but do something else. Not the objectives and cards. Something like more a party game.
Yeah. This was not good.
Not a good game. All right, let's get to number 6. We're getting closer to my huge frustrations.
Okay. All right. My number 6 is a game that was very highly reviewed by lots of reviewers. And it looks pretty good. It, again, has custom dice, nice, colorful artwork, a really interesting theme, and it is kind of like Age of Dirt. It was a 4-round game that was stretched nicely over 10 rounds or something. It was much too long and just really not very much fun. The game is Pie Town.
Oh, I heard about this one. So,
it's a deduction game.
Oh,
yeah, lots of people from the Dice Tower love it. It has some deduction elements, but you can kind of switch things like you're trying to figure out people's recipes, but then they can just change them. And it had these dice, but you ended up with too many as the game went by, because it was easy to get new ones, and then you just ended up with too many actions, and there weren't enough spaces, and the deduction elements were not all that interesting. And the game itself was not all that interesting. The theme was great. The production was fantastic. The artwork looked great. And I thought, oh, this is going to be a fantastic game, and I'm going to love it. And when we played it, it was, I still get flack about, it's not going to be like that Pie game, is it? Today, from people who played it with me. It was a real stinker of a game.
Okay. Yeah, I've played that one. I don't know. I kind of skipped that one, but I did really enjoy the looks of the game. Yeah, it's definitely a beautiful game. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes you can find your own siren there, out there during the Dice Tower cruise. Okay, my
This wasn't on the
number.
cruise.
Oh, you played it late
I
before
played
me.
it here
Okay.
in town. Mm-hmm.
Okay. My number 6 is a game that I should be sorry about, and I should apologize to you because I put you through a not so great time, and during the board game
Uh-oh.
camp in Estonia. So we always find some time to play games all over the world. We were on the cruise, which was in Mexico, whatever. And then we played in Gen Con in Indianapolis, and then we played in Estonia. And in each of those, we had some ups and downs, let's say.
Yep.
This one I bought because just on a whim, it looked cool. I think I
Mm-hmm.
bought it as a kind of a used copy from the Essen auction, something like that.
Okay.
And it's called Jungle Ascent. Remember that game? Oh, hello there.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh, this was horrible.
Yeah, look at the art. I like this cartoon show. It's cool. It looks very fun.
Oh, I
And
forgot
it's
about
like,
this.
oh, we have this. It's a little bit like take that. We build those. I don't know. Okay,
Ladders.
build the paths, ladders and paths. Yes, and etc. And we have some cards, and it's like It's like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Shock was the game or something like that. The also like kind of that vibe and jungle thing. I like that. I like the theme. I like everything. And we play the game. It's just like Munchkin. It's just too random. It's just too much take that. It just somebody wins just because they were lucky. Because somebody was like, we are basically damaging each other, and then one player is just slowly moving up and they win, and nobody cares about that anyway. I think you won.
I don't remember. I could probably check in my app, but yeah,
I
this was
think
a
you
one and
won
done.
and said it's a bad game after that. So usually if you win a game, you're less aggressive towards the game. Like some people, if they win a game, they like it more than they should. It's like that.
Mm.
It's just how it is because they won the
Yeah,
game. It's like they're on a positive mood. But
yeah, no, I did not win, but
okay,
I
maybe
just
somebody
checked.
else.
But it wouldn't have mattered. This was a dud.
Yeah, just moving up those ladders, trying to get to the treasures or something like that. Who cares? It just Robo Rally meets Temple of Shock meets Munchkin.
With Munchkin thrown in. Yep.
Just didn't work. Such a cool concept, I think. All right, let's get to number 5.
Okay. All right. My number 5. So this is a designer that until this game, he could do no wrong for me. He is a very talented game designer and artist. This is Ryan Lockett, of course. And the game that he put out, I think it was his first real game that came out without a Kickstarter. The game is Klondike Rush.
I heard about that one, yeah.
And I sort of have a fascination with Yetis. And so there was a Yeti miniature, and the artwork was nice, but the game itself, it had this weird clunky auction mechanism that was very unbalanced. And it was, there was some pathing, and there was sort of getting things to make things better. But you eventually ran out of like tokens. So halfway through the game, you're kind of without anything to do. It was just really a very unpleasant game. And I was very shocked because I knew going into it that, this is a company and a designer that I can count on, but they let me down big time. And, this is not one to hunt down.
Yeah, that's the one that I tried to hunt down. I mean, like I was about to buy that one, and with each review that I read and watched, I wanted to buy it less and less and less. And this one, it said like it's an economic game, kind of a lighter economic game, and it looks beautiful. That's what drew me in. And I was like, okay, I like economic games. I like, dealing with money. Oh yeah. And then I saw
No, it
all the
was
bats.
the economic part was not
Yes.
even interesting. This one was not worth anybody's
No,
time. I
just
had to
no.
apologize after we played it.
But I mean, soon we will get the new game. I mean, like soon there will be a new game on Kickstarter from Lion Lockout, which is, or is it gonna be on Kickstarter? I don't know. It's gonna come
Now or
out.
never?
It's gonna come out now or never. I don't know.
Yeah,
We don't
that's
know
not
when it's gonna come out.
Kickstarter. It was he's taken pre-orders on his website, but it's
Okay,
not a
okay.
Kickstarter. Mm-hmm.
So it's his last chance to impress you, now or never.
No.
Okay, that's a bad one. Okay, let's just get to my number 5. My number 5 is a game that I got from, I think, I got it from Gen Con. And I think I got more games from Gen Con that were beautiful but dull than from Essen. Yeah. And Gen Con sorrowed my experience with games. Anyway, this
Okay.
is called Oster Park. And it's this kind of
Oh,
a
yeah. This one looked amazing.
dexterity marble game. And as you can see, you have this kind of I like the art style. I mean, it's cool. It's
fine.
wanky. It's weird. And the marbles, etc. You build the tracks and you push the marbles down. Then these marbles have to kind of go through the distance, and you earn some points. I don't know, something. So we played it during the board game camp in Estonia. There's a guy who usually tries to buy games from me, and and he was like, and we just finished the game. I was like, oh, looks cool, and he didn't really he didn't play it with us. He was playing something else, but he went by to check out what we're playing, and he said, oh, it looks cool. Maybe I can buy it from you. And I was like, in the game, I didn't know well. So, and after the game, I approached him and said, yes, you can buy it. Here you go.
Sold.
Sold. That's how it was. I sold it right away after playing the game. It's my new record. It was the fastest sale of a bad game. I don't know if he still owns the game. I mean, he could. He has a class, kind of playing games with children. Maybe it could be fine with just children, building them up and sending marbles
Rolling
down.
the marbles.
Might be. But first of all, the components. You know what's bad? You need to have plastic components in order for such things to work. If you have cardboard, it can bend, it can get old, and through these few builds, you will just ruin the game. When we build that, it sometimes just didn't go the way it needed. It was weird because just some connections weren't that good.
Right.
And the game itself, I mean, like, we didn't care what we were doing. We just tried to. Oh, the marble went down and up the hill. That's it. And you saw that one time, and after that one time, it was never, ever fun again.
Right.
And the quality as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't played it. I was worried that it would have all the problems that you just described, and so I was fortunately able to avoid it.
No, don't play it. There are so many better dexterity games. It's just not worth it. Let's get to. Is it number 4?
It will be number 4, yes.
Okay.
All right. My number 4. This is one that a lot of people like. This is probably, I think it's the only one here that I think a lot of people do like, and I do not. It is a gorgeous game, and it's always praised for how gorgeous it is. But the game is Photosynthesis.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game.
And the game itself looks great. You've got look. Okay, it was not fun to put all the trees together, but once you do that, you've got these very nice cardboard trees, very colorful, and you've got this interesting mechanism where the sun moves around the board and it shines on certain trees. That ends up being a little bit fiddly, right? As you're trying to figure out, okay, can it, is trying to calculate how it's going to work, but that's okay. I could give it that. The real problem with the game, first of all, it's not that interesting. And secondly, the last couple rounds are wasted, right? Because there's just not enough time for things to grow and mature. So the game ends and then you still play 2 more rounds. And and that was it. Just sort of when it's over, it's just like it's done. Nothing. You kind of feel like, okay, why didn't we end this 2 rounds ago? And it was just never very much fun. It also, if you're the person who's able to get to those center spots, you're probably just going to do better because they're worth more. And there's not much anything anyone can do once you get there. So there's, other than try and prevent you from growing, it just, nothing really worked. And nobody I've played it with ever had an amazing time. Despite how much people seem to love the game, I really did not.
Yeah, that's the one I really wanted to try, but never got to. I don't know why. Maybe because I saw some reviews and I realized maybe it's not for me.
Well, most of the reviews have been very positive.
Yeah, I mean, like, even if the review is positive, you look at how it's played and anything like that. It's with some games, I can watch the positive review and say nope. There are Uwe Rosenberg games that everybody praises, Color Town, etc. I will never play these because I can see it, not for me. And this one seems like an abstract strategy game in a sense that this kind of a spatial puzzle. I don't know if I'm any good with these or bad or good with these, but I don't like such games.
Well, I usually do, and I really did not like this one.
Yeah, I can remember Blueprints was the game. It's about spatial puzzle. Oh, I hated that game.
Okay.
Ooh,
is that your number 4?
No, because okay. I don't think it's beautiful as well.
It's not.
My number 4 is a game. That's where this Game Salute was the publisher. Yeah, who made this game that Tom Basil made as well? Oh, what's it called? The game Nothing Personal. Yeah, I think the Game Salute does that, and I think
they did. The Game Salute then became Starling Games, I think.
Yes, yeah, that's true. Yes, so that's where I was cautious about their future style, even Starling Games titles, and about their Kickstarters and stuff because they were horrible at handling. They were horrible at picking games because they made the games very beautiful, but very dull. Skyway Robbery.
Oh my goodness!
I said that it was okay. I mean, at most okay. It's a card game with some take that. I don't remember exactly how it's played, but it's a beautiful game. Look at all the art and stuff. I liked how it looked, but
so this game is your fault. I got this game because you were so excited about it, and you hadn't played it yet, but you were just convinced it was going to be wonderful. And I got it, and it was a major dud.
Yeah. Because I was like, okay, it sounds cool. You can have some economics and things and cards, and the whole theme. Look at that, beautiful. You look at that beautiful game, and then you start playing the game, and it's just dull. It's just no exciting turns going on there. Yeah. There are so many better games that do similar stuff.
Okay,
and I don't even remember exactly how it's played.
I don't either. I played it and I was like, nope.
I just remember it being dull.
This was a one and done for me. I really disliked this game, and it was a heavy box.
Yes, yeah, I like that. I do like boxes that are heavy, so it's full of great components. No, it's full of
the components were fine.
It's full of poop, Poop. Yes. Okay. Anyway, let's get to number 3 because it's gonna get ugly. I mean, from the inside.
Okay. Right. So we are moving into 3 games that I just jumped on board all the way for these games. Number 3 is a game that it has the best artwork. It's a fantastic artwork game. And they made the original version, and then they made 2 versions based on intellectual properties that I love. One that I really liked, which was Name of the Wind, and one that's probably one of my favorite intellectual properties of all time, which is the Stormlight Archives. The game is Call to Adventure.
Okay.
And I have to use the term game very loosely because there really isn't one here. This game is play interesting cards, and then kind of eventually you have a story that you've created. But the actual game mechanisms are dumb. You roll, like, you take these 2-sided dice and roll them. They're the runes, and that part seems cool, but you almost always succeed because there are so many bonuses that it's almost impossible to fail. And so you basically go out, you get some cards, you get points for everything, and then you see who has the most at the end. It just, as a game, it is amazingly awful. Look, if you were doing it with kids as a storytelling exercise or doing it to kind of create some sort of story for yourself, maybe there's some value to that. But in that case, it's just draft cards and put them in a pile. The artwork is fantastic. They spent so much money on the artwork and so little money on the game development that it is almost a sin. And then they took 2 amazing intellectual properties and threw them on here, and they just don't work. It doesn't make the game any better or any more exciting, other than you get to see somebody's artistic representation of scenes from a book that you really liked, which that was great. That was the reason I kept buying them. But as a game, it is horrible.
Yeah, heard about that one. And no, I don't think I want to play that one.
Well, you can't. It's just put cards in a pile.
Yeah. All right, my number 3, and you said the right thing. My top 3 are the ones that I was extremely excited about, and in my number 3 is the one where I think it was the last time where I gave a chance to that company. Thankfully, they merged, and now they do decent stuff. But I'm talking about NSK Games. That was the last drop, because, oh my god, underbaked games all the time, and
bad rules.
Please have some kind of in-house developer who can look, or hire somebody who is very well-known developer. Because it was a Kickstarter as well, and it looked cool. In the Name of Odin. The game that Sam Healy likes, and I'm like, why? How can you like thematic games? This game is dull. This game is abstract. There's nothing great about this game. It just feels so dull. You have these Vikings. Basically what they're colors. You could do just colorful discs. And you go and raid the regions. How? You match the colors. Okay. What a wonderful game. And then you have these tokens and that tokens, and then you play the cards, which are also just, tokens. And you could get some of the cards which give you some special abilities which relate to tokens. It's a token, the game, you could say. Why would you ruin such a cool looking map, and kind of a cool theme, and the miniatures, I like them, but I don't know, this was just such a dull game. After the raid, gain 4 Vikings of any one single type. Basically gain 4 red tokens, so you can go and spend those red tokens on that card and get 2 points, and you will build up your village of whatever. Just don't care. Oh, so disappointed.
All right. Yeah, I got this one. I mistook it for a Feast for Odin and bought it by mistake and was sadly disappointed.
Look at this cover. It's cool.
It is. All right. Well, I won't argue with you on that one.
Let's get to number 2.
All right.
Ooh, that was.
All right. My number 2 really hurts as well. It's a theme that I loved. It's an IP I loved. It was a game that I liked that was being redone with a new coat of paint on it, and hopefully, better rules and better development. There were 2 massive Kickstarters. I got both of them because I kept wanting this game to be amazing, and it just never was. In fact, it was bad. In fact, so the game is Batman Gotham City. Whatever. I think it's Chronicles. It's the big Batman game. That's the one. Yeah, the big miniatures game. It looks fantastic. They've got everything, every possible thing. Lots of love went into designing plastic pieces. There were stories, and you played through them. But the problem is that they were all very scripted. You had to use specific things. It wasn't like, I'll take the Riddler and go up against Batman and we'll duke it out. No, there's one scenario where he shows up. There were all these weird things, characters that kind of looked like the Bat Cow or something that kind of showed up in only one specific scenario and really only had one way to use it. The worst sin, though, they're those beautiful boards, and they have like different features on, like, this is a different kind of elevation. It's nowhere written on the board. No, you have to go to a page of the rule book where it shows the board outlined with different colors to find out what the different symbols mean. You couldn't even look at it. I mean, you had to have the silhouette outline version of the board on the table so that you can even figure out whether you can cross one line or not. It really is an absolute stinker of a game. And I really was I just knew after Conan that they would get it right this time. And in the second version, they made a slightly better rule book, but there are so many symbols and you have to know all of them. And they were organized on a kind of a random system in the symbol guide. The game just is almost unplayable. And it's so bad, and yet it looked so good that it almost was my number 1.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks cool. But yeah, miniature games, I don't know.
And I love Batman villains.
Yeah. You do. Especially the one that's called the Riddler.
Well, I mean, I love not just him. I mean, I love lots of them. I mean, I just knew I love the Batman stuff. I love the stories. I love the interactions. This was going to be amazing, and it was not.
Yeah. All right, my number 2 is a game that I saw in Essen. Went by, and I was like, went by the table, and was like, "Ooh, what's this cool looking game?" It's also like, I like the box cover. It's stylish. It's not like beautiful, a base style beautiful now, but it's still, for me, was a cool looking game. A romantic. And we're like, oh, it's cool. And they explained the game to us. And, all these islands, different, pieces and towers and things. It just looks cool for me. Especially when it was on the table, you can see all those colors and things.
Yeah.
They design. Well, I don't think, maybe it was designer or publisher, whatever, the small company. They explained the game to us briefly, and we're like, "Ooh, sounds great! Let's take it and let's review it." And also gave us a copy, and we're like, "Okay, extremely excited." And I read the rule book, and I like how the rule book was laid out. Like, the rule book is like that, so you can learn the rules, and then if you get back to the game, there are the side of the rule book has kind of a reminder, the quick reference of all the rules that you might have forgotten. And this game combines strategy, building up, with a random die rolling that.
That's always satisfying.
You can get resource, but you might not get anything. And if you get that symbol, you can do nothing on your turn. And if you're lucky, your board that you build up will not be wiped out by the storm. But if you're unlucky, then start building up again. What a fun thing. I like the idea of there's that there are different like plants or something like that, the radish and the forestation and the grain, etc. And you build those up, and if you surround I don't know how many cubes, I think it was 4 cubes. If you surround a particular type of resource, whatever it is, or like a forest, with another one, then that forest now becomes a radish. So it's like you can outgrow things with others, and you can have this kind of a towers that kind of I think they defend you against some of the weather things, but I don't know. Or you can claim some of the places. To be honest, I don't remember exactly how it was played. What I remember is don't make a strategy game where your turn can be ruined by the first thing you do. When you turn, you roll those 2 dice. Don't do that. Because I was wiped out, and I rolled the dice several times where I got bad weather, and I couldn't get any resources. I was stuck. I was just stuck. I couldn't do anything. And I ended the game with 0 points. 0.
That's not very many.
How can a strategy game make you earn 0 points? And some people approached me and said, "Oh, you're wrong, because this game has a lot of strategy." But to be honest, sorry, I'm not that stupid. I should have gotten few points at least. I shouldn't be that stupid. I've played many games. It's not like I played smartly. I was just outnumbered by the very bad luck, but there's a lot of that luck, and I can do nothing about that. Wow, I was so frustrated. Such a cool looking game, such a great idea. Some mechanics are great. Concepts. All right,
I've not played that one, but
never.
All right.
Don't play that. You will get frustrated. Let's get to number 1, because my rage is still going. It will be a rage quit after my number 1 game.
Okay.
the screen will end abruptly. The live stream.
It's not really abrupt if you tell us that it's going to happen. Then it sounds planned.
But it's going to be abrupt if it's not going to happen now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, anyway.
Okay. So this is the one that I think, the reason this one is my number 1 is because it hurts me the most. The game looks fantastic. The artwork is so lovingly done. It's vibrant and colorful, and different aspects of cards get, develop, right? The game is, I'll tell you what the game is so you can find the picture. It's Cerebria, the Inside World.
Oh, I know.
So this game is supposed to be almost like Inside Out, the game. And the way that you play it, like you're the forces of bliss or gloom, and you're kind of competing for control through different actions. And the coolest part of the game is you have these cards that are different aspects. I forget, but like, happiness or becomes joy or something. And so if you looked at the cards, you'll see one is sort of a smaller version and the other one is larger. Or, I don't know, depression becomes hopelessness. And so, the way that the artwork evolves is very consistent. It's lighthearted, but very fun. The figures were these painted little plastic miniatures that were lovingly painted. It looked like somebody spent a lot of time and invested a lot of joy and effort into making this game look fantastic. The board itself is very colorful. It's a little bit busy, which is part of the problem, but the game itself is almost unplayable. You can really only play it as a 2 versus 2 game. Any other configurations just don't work. The rule book is amazingly long and heady and complex, and I think I had to read it 3 times before I even had an idea of what to do in the game, before I even knew how I'd be able to teach somebody. It is just a painful slog of a game, and it's not very much fun. It's very difficult to even know what you're supposed to be doing. Lots of rules to remember, and it just wasn't fun at all once you got through it. In fact, most times that I've even set it up, people have said, "Ooh, look," and we've looked at the cards and had a great time experiencing the love for the world and the beauty of the game. But once we started explaining the rules, people said, I'm not sure I want to go through with this. It is an abortion of a game. It is really very unpleasant to play, and it hurts me because so much love went into making it beautiful.
Yeah. After Trickerion and Anachrony, I was like, oh, I'm very excited about any other game they're going to come up with, And I saw Cerebria on Kickstarter, and I became cautious because I kind of felt like it might be a trap of a game.
It was.
So I was lucky to be right about that one, I think. Because even now, I look at the game, I was like, I need to try it because I just love Mind Clash. But each time I think about that, I look at this game and I'm like, it feels like it's too much. It just feels like they tried to do too much with the whole theme and with the whole mechanics. But yeah, my number 1, Michael Menzel, adventure game, fantasy. You learn the game as you go. For different scenarios, the game teaches you as you go.
But it doesn't have a rule book?
And it doesn't have a rule book, which at first I felt like, oh, interesting. And then I felt like, oh, bad. You should have a rule book. It doesn't matter that the game teaches you. You need to have a rule book. Bad decision. But the game itself, gorgeous. And
is it legendary?
For some. Legend of Ander. Yes. Such a gorgeous game. The box cover, I don't care. But when I looked at the board, look at that. It looks colorful, beautiful. It's just full of adventure. No, it's not. It's about you cannot kill that monster because you lose time. It's about, oh, this monster comes here. You need to lure them exactly to that spot on exactly turn 5. And then you need to make that monster number 2 approach your castle on turn 8. And then you need to go and pick that stuff up on turn 12. This is never do a puzzle game where you need to be extremely precise with every possible turn. It's such a bad idea. Never put the monsters in where you don't have a choice. You have to puzzle out what monsters you can kill or not. It's like it needs to be exactly like that. It needs to be exactly right turns, right phases. Otherwise, you lose. We played this game, I think, like 3 or 4 times. We tried. We couldn't get past the first scenario. We just could not. We couldn't puzzle it out. And it's not that we're stupid. It's just because I cannot get my head around why I cannot just, if, like, for example, with video games, there are games where you can do stealth or you can go head on, try to kill monsters. Why couldn't be something similar here? Like I can go all in and fight the monsters, but there is a huge risk I will die, something like that. But then I can go stealthily and more puzzly. But this one, it's just so dull. Fantasy here is nothing, basically. The special abilities and the characters are dull. they just ruined the game for me. Never do such games.
I remember enjoying it, but I remember being put off by the fact that the box claimed it had 6 scenarios, and the first one was the tutorial, and the last one was design your own. I was put off by that. I was put off by the fact that there was no rule book, so the only way to learn it was to play through that same first scenario again and again.
Yes.
And I do want. I've been having an inkling to go back to it and see if I like it now. But anyway, I do remember the problems of the game were more obvious than the fun of it, is what I remember.
I don't understand why people like this one, because it's nothing else. Like it is. It's like with this lock puzzles, the small puzzles, like the sturdy puzzles, where you need to do the exact amount of twists and turns in order to unlock things. It's the same, but I could do these, and I could give it to somebody else, and they could do that. But then it's done. In board games, don't sell me adventure and then lock me up, basically. And then I have to just follow the prescripted path. It's not adventure anymore. Even chess has more freedom.
Okay.
My God.
Well, there you go.
Hate it.
Have you rage quit yet?
And bye. Boom. No. Thank you for watching. That was another episode of Würfelcast. We ended up on a not so positive
note. A really
note.
positive note.
But we ended up with great artwork. Just not the game.
We did.
And we're going to see you in 2 weeks. Most likely. Should be. I don't know what theme we're going to choose, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out.
I have a few ideas. But anyway, that was the Würfelcast, episode 42. Go watch us again.
Very well. Okay. And don't buy these games.
For some, I might even, recommend, like Dixit is something I could recommend for some people who I know will love it. So, but
yeah, very well.
Mostly. Anyway.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.